You wake up. Before you even breathe, your phone lights up. A dozen alerts. News, noise, demands. You scroll, not because you want to, but because silence feels awkward, because stillness feels like falling behind. The world has become louder than ever. Everyone is speaking, few are listening. We're praised for reaction, not reflection, measured by speed, not by depth. But pause here. Ask yourself, when was the last time you sat in silence without reaching for something? When was the last time you let a moment pass without reacting? We are conditioned to fear quiet, as if silence means weakness, as if stillness means we're not doing enough. But what if the opposite is true? What if real strength is the power to be still in chaos, to stay unmoved when everything pulls you to respond, to act not because you're provoked, but because you chose to? Marcus Aurelius led armies, governed an empire, and still wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter retreat than in his own soul." This is not just poetry. This is survival. This is power. The world will not get quieter, so we must. Let's begin. We used to wake up with the sun. Now we wake up with alarms, notifications, urgency. Before we've even opened our eyes, there's no silence anymore, only the illusion of it. A scroll through your feed feels passive, but it's not. Every image, every headline, every comment enters your mind, unfiltered. You don't notice it, but it changes you. Your focus, your mood, your sense of self. You hear someone else's opinion and mistake it for your own. You see someone else's highlight and resent your reality. You react before you even know what you're reacting to. Noise today is not just sound. It's mental clutter. It's digital intrusion. It's 100 open tabs in your head, all asking for attention. And the cost? You lose clarity. You lose your center. The Stoics spoke of this not in decibels, but in distractions. Epictetus warned, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Why? Because clarity often looks like withdrawal. Because stepping back seems weak in a world that rewards the loud. But silence is not absence. It is presence. It is choosing what to let in and what to keep out. The mind cannot find peace until it learns to close the gate. In today's world, silence is often mistaken for weakness. If you're quiet, people assume you're unsure. If you pause, they think you're unprepared. If you don't speak, they label you passive. But the Stoics knew better. What looks like silence is sometimes strength in its most disciplined form. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we may listen twice as much as we speak." Silence, for him, was not absence. It was a weapon, a shield, a gatekeeper of wisdom. A man who is loud reacts. A man who is still responds. Noise is impulsive. Silence is intentional. In meetings, in arguments, in daily tensions, we're trained to fill the space. We fear the pause. We rush to speak, to win, to prove. But silence is where the dust settles. It's where emotion cools and thought can begin. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor in constant chaos, wrote not with bravado, but with restraint. His meditations are not declarations. They are quiet questions, he asked himself. Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands, unmoved, and the raging of the sea falls still around it. That's what silence is. It's the rock. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to explain itself. It just holds. When you don't react, you are not retreating. You are reserving. When you choose stillness, You are not avoiding. You are mastering. In a loud world, silence isn't weakness. It's rebellion. It's restraint in an age of impulse. It's presence in a time of distraction. True confidence doesn't need volume. True power doesn't seek the last word. Silence is not the absence of thought. It's the preparation of it. It's where clarity is sharpened, where values are remembered, where emotion is tamed. Seneca said, "A wise man is never more active than when he does nothing, because stillness is not doing nothing. It is doing the right thing at the right moment, with the right mind." Think of your own life. Moments where you stayed silent and realized later that was the strongest thing you could have done. The time you didn't respond to provocation. The day you chose not to argue. The moment you let the noise pass without joining it. That wasn't weakness. That was wisdom. The world may never praise it, but your mind remembers. Your soul remembers. Because every time you hold your tongue, you train your mind. Every pause becomes a practice. Every breath becomes a boundary. And slowly, you become untouchable. Not because you fight every battle, but because you no longer need to. Silence is not empty. It's full of what matters. And in the Stoic path, that's where strength begins. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It's the presence of control. In today's world, we are trained to react. Something offends us, we respond instantly. Someone posts a comment, we fire back. A problem appears, we panic before we think. But the Stoic does something rare. He pauses. He watches. He allows space to form between stimulus and response. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." But how do you choose? If you never stop long enough to realize there's a choice. Stillness is the breath between impulse and decision. It's where reaction dies and reason begins. In a reactive world, stillness is not natural. It must be cultivated. It's not something you stumble into. It's something you return to deliberately, through habit, through reflection, through restraint. Seneca taught that no harm comes from insult, only from our interpretation of it. But to see that, you need stillness. You need to step back, to see what your emotions try to hide. Stillness does not mean doing nothing. It means doing the right thing, without noise, without haste. It is in stillness that we observe our patterns, the triggers, the habits, the urges. It's in stillness that we regain command of ourselves. When the world demands urgency, stillness gives us clarity. When others raise their voices, stillness lets us hear what's really being said. When the noise becomes unbearable, stillness does not escape it. It remains unmoved by it. This is not weakness. It's not indecision. It's the discipline of a mind that refuses to be owned by chaos. A still mind is not idle. It is precise. It calculates when others panic. It sees further when others are distracted. It holds firm while others shift with every gust of opinion. To be still is to anchor yourself in values, in reason, in what endures. This is how you remain unbroken in a world designed to pull you apart. Stillness makes you hard to provoke, hard to manipulate, hard to move unless you choose to move, and that is true power. In a world that rewards speed, choose presence. In a culture obsessed with noise, choose quiet. Not to escape, not to hide, but to command yourself before the world commands you. Stillness is not passive. It is potent. It is active control in the disguise of calm. And once you find it, you no longer chase peace. You become it. Silence is not something you stumble upon. It's something you build deliberately, patiently, and daily. The Stoics didn't just talk about calm, they trained for it. They built it into their mornings, their choices, their responses, not by accident, by habit. Here are 5 practices, simple but not easy. Each one builds a deeper layer of inner stillness. The day begins loud before your feet touch the ground. Notifications, emails, headlines designed to stir your emotions before you've even remembered who you are. So the first habit is this. Start your day in silence. No phone, no scroll, no reacting. Instead, breathe. Stand. Look out the window. Let your thoughts rise like morning fog, and watch them drift. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations in the quiet of dawn, because he knew, if you don't claim the first minutes of your day, the world will. The second habit may seem harsh, but it is deeply clarifying. Before the Stoics expressed gratitude, they imagined loss. Seneca would picture losing his home, his health, his loved ones, not to scare himself, but to train his mind to appreciate what was already his while he still had it. Try this. Close your eyes. Picture something or someone you value, gone. Now open your eyes. Notice how clear things become. Noise fades. Gratitude sharpens. Your mind returns to what matters. This practice doesn't invite fear. It builds presence. The third practice is to invite discomfort and purpose. Wear simpler clothes. Sleep on the floor. Take cold showers. Walk without headphones. Seneca fasted, walked barefoot, and exposed himself to harsh conditions, not because he enjoyed pain, but because he knew when you can live with less, you are free. Stillness is not comfort. It is the absence of craving. When you stop needing everything to go your way, the world loses its grip on you. The fourth habit is writing. Not to perform, not to solve, just to see. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. But to embody it, you must first observe it. Sit down, write what you felt, what you feared, what you failed to say, and then don't analyze. Don't defend. Don't decorate. This kind of journaling is not for the world. It's for your own eyes and your own clarity. Stillness begins when you stop arguing with your own reflection. The fifth and final practice is this. Pause. 3 seconds. Before you respond, before you defend, before you attack. This habit is subtle, invisible to others, but powerful inside you. A man who pauses is not weak. He is aware. When emotions rise, stillness holds the reins. Not to suppress, but to steer. In the pause you ask, is this helpful? Is this necessary? Is this mine to say? Seneca reminded us, speech, even when brief, should be measured. In a world that fires back instantly, the one who pauses rules himself. Each habit is quiet. Each one feels small, but layer by layer they build an interior fortress. One that no noise can shake. One that no world can enter without permission. Stillness is not the absence of life. It is the command of it. And that begins not with control, but with silence. The world wants you to move, to respond, to react, to shout over the noise or be drowned by it. But stillness is not surrender. It's strength held in quiet hands. When Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome, he faced war, plague, betrayal. He had every reason to scream. He chose silence. He chose to write, to return inward, to anchor himself not in the chaos, but in the clarity beneath it. Stillness is not passivity. It's precision. It's knowing when to act and when not to, when to speak and when silence speaks louder. In a culture that rewards noise, to be still is rebellion. To pause is courage. To reflect is power. Seneca said, "If you really want to escape the noise, be deaf to it. You won't find peace by shouting louder. You'll find it by stepping back, breathing once, choosing not to be moved by every wave that crashes." There is a kind of strength the world cannot see, because it doesn't need to be seen. It doesn't demand. It doesn't display. It simply remains rooted. When the noise rises, when the world pulls, you remember this. You don't need to match its chaos. You only need to master your calm. Stillness is not a weakness. It's your anchor and your edge. In a loud world, stay quiet enough to hear what truly matters.